So the team at Xvive asked me if I wanted to do a review on this on my channel. I said, sure, why not? Let's check it out and see what it's all about. After having a bit of a play around with it and digging into it, I think this is a really useful tool to have around. So let's just quickly go over what this is. So basically, it's an in-ear monitoring system. You can plug your headphones into it. I'm not sure if you can see that. And it allows you to control 3 signals. So for example, on stage, you could have a click track, you could have your backing tracks, and then you could have your overall in-ear mix, everything that's going on stage, the rest of the band. Meaning that you have control over these things. If you need more click, you can just crank it up. If you need more backing track, crank it up. Want to hear less of the band? Turn them down. Which is incredibly handy, being able to tweak some stuff like that without having to get the sound guy's attention and make those changes for you, you know? Hey, over here, I can't hear the click. Can you, you can do it here. You can crank it up, set it up yourself, and you're good to go. So this is our PXA. This is where we get to control the volume of the 3 signals that we're going to be sending to this in-ear monitoring system. This is our master volume right here. That lets us control the overall volume of everything. We can select between battery power, as well as this can be powered by a 9-volt power supply, but it can also be powered over a Cat5 cable. It can be powered by 2 AAA batteries, which last for about 5 hours. And also inside the battery compartment, you have these switches, which let you choose whether the signal for each channel will either be left or right, or straight down the center as a mono signal. This is probably one of my favorite features about this device, is that you could send a stereo mix to channels 1 and channel 2, and channel 1 could just be in the left ear, channel 2 could be in the right ear, and then on the 3rd channel, we could have a click track, or you could have your vocal, anything that you want to have the ability to control over giving yourself more of. And then we also have our input, which is where our Cat5 cable is going to connect, which is going to allow us to balance our 3 signals on this unit. So the next thing we have in our box is our Cat5 cable. This is a 25-foot cable. It's really quite long, which is awesome. One end of this is going to plug into the PXA. Now the next piece of the puzzle, this is the PXB. So this connects to the other end of our Cat5 cable. So we've now got the PXA and the PXB hooked up over this Cat5 cable. Now this is going to carry our 3 signals. So then these 3 cables are what we need to plug in to our mixer or whatever it is that's going to be feeding us the 3 separate signals that we're going to be able to mix over on our PXA. They also include 3 balanced XLR to unbalanced quarter adapters, which is handy if you want to take a signal directly from a DI box or whether your console has quarter outputs. So for example, in a live setting, you could have these plugged into 3 different auxiliaries. One of them could be your band mix, and then one of them could be the click track, and then one of them could be backing tracks. And then you would have control over those 3 things. Or it could be, you know, the bass in this, the guitar in this, and the vocals in this. And then you could have control over 3 different sounds on stage. Basically, you can have 3 mono signals of your choosing that you can control on stage from where you are. So as I said before, it can be powered by batteries, or it can be powered by a 9-volt power supply. So you just plug the adapter straight into that and then plug it into your power point. There's also the ability to power it over the Cat5 cable, which you need a separate piece of gear to be able to do that. I believe Xvive have a rack where if you have multiple units of this that you're using on stage, you can have 3 sends running into that rack, and then you can have multiple people on stage with the PX unit, and they can all have those 3 signals being sent out of that rack. So you could send multiple Cat5 cables with power running over to their PXA units, which then they don't need batteries or a power supply. Is running straight off this Cat5 cable, which is plugged into a rack, which is providing power directly to the units. So it is kind of a difficult one to show off and review on camera because there's so many little bits and pieces that all click together and intertwine. Now, the way that I plan to use this in my studio is I'm going to be running a stereo mix over channels 1 and 2, and we'll have that set up in the PXA so that that's going to the left and the right. So channels 1 and 2 will become our stereo mix, so you have to kind of balance those out accordingly. And then with the 3rd output, this will be whatever we want to have more of. For example, if we're tracking drums, I'll have the click being sent to this. So then this bottom channel will become the click control. So the drummers won't have to ask me to turn the click up or down. I can just let them control that by themselves. And you know, I do a lot of session drumming, and it's good to just not have to run backwards and forwards, or, you know, get on my app and play with it. Just be able to grab this, turn it up, tweak it until I'm happy, and then keep tracking. And this can work for anything in the studio. Let's say we're tracking vocals. We can have our instrumental mix here, and then we can have the vocal being sent to channel 3, and they can control the volume of their vocal right there in the tracking booth. They don't have to ask me to turn it up or down. And getting that volume right is really important for achieving a good performance. Sometimes if the vocals are too loud, people kind of hold back, and if they're too quiet, they push their voice too hard. Giving them the ability to set it to a point where it feels really good to them will actually make them perform even better. Any situation where you're tracking something and you need monitoring and they want to be able to hear themselves more, this is a really great way of being able to provide that to them in a really simple package.